What is good, YouTube? It's that one camera guy back at it again with another podcast for you. This is episode 3 of That One Camera Guy Speaks. It's a podcast that I talk about topics that I'm interested in with photography, technology, or something that you recommend in the comments below. In today's episode, we're going to answer this question is, should you become a photographer? And the lead in for this topic comes from a video that Eric Kim, a street photographer, released not too long ago from the air date of this actual podcast, where he talks about the realities of becoming a photographer and that 99.9999% of all of you are going to fail at becoming a photographer. Now, the reason why I was very interested in this topic, and by the way, I have a link in the description to this very video. I'd like for you to actually watch it and listen in on what he has to say. So let me go ahead and jump over there right now. It's called Why You Should Not Pursue a Career in Photography. And in the video, he basically tells you,
hey, what's up, Street Dogs? There,
that you're not going to be able to make it as a photographer.
Currently at the coffee shop.
And he gives us a certain amount of reasons for that. Now, here's the interesting thing is the fact that there was twice as many dislikes on the video than normal. And the response from the community in the video was very strong. So if you take a look, for example, this individual says, $2,000 for a workshop? What are you, a Magnum photographer? Get the F out of here. Wow. Really strong language. They are saying he's not a good photographer. He's seen his site in blogs. He's mediocre. He's a salesman. All these different things people are attacking and sort of attacking Eric Kim on. And I'm not saying that people have the right to their own opinion, right? You could be mad, you can be upset, you have that right to speak your voice. That's the platform that YouTube gives you. But I feel that these individuals don't quite understand how Eric Kim's strategy works. He is an entrepreneur. He's no longer a typical photographer. Yeah, he probably, he started off as a street photographer, shooting film, did a little bit film, digital, did workshops, did art shows, art exhibits, and he built a following, however big that following might be. I remember Eric Kim's work back then, a long time ago, because what he was doing was very interesting. And I really liked his original videos where someone was actually filming for him when he was doing a workshop, he was walking downtown, he'd take photos, and he'd just show people how he would do street photography. I thought that was great on his channel. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at his channel right now. And by the way, we're also going to be analyzing Eric Kim's strategy as an entrepreneur and how he operates and runs his business. I mean, I don't know everything. We're just going to base it off of what we see because I just think it's really interesting. If you take a look, he started back 6 years ago, so that would make it, 2001 or something like, not 2001, 2011, right? But I guess he's just showing his images here. But he started showing people, he talked in front of the camera, and he actually started showing his work. And I thought that was new. That was something that was different. He was offering the community something different that people had not seen before. And I think that's where he is. And he took advantage of his skill set and what he was doing and his marketability and created a brand, right? He branded himself. He is the brand. Eric Kim is the brand. So we're out of that already. Hopefully we have like a basic understanding of where he's at. Now let's go ahead and jump back into the video. Let's see here. Maybe we can play just a little bit of it.
Shop in Saigon. I want to give you guys some practical life advice on how reasons not to become a quote professional photographer.
All right, so weird thumbnail there. Weird. He's talking about giving advice on the term here is professional photographer. So let's go ahead and break that down in terms of what we mean by professional photographer. I would say a professional photographer is somebody who's making their primary income successfully as a photographer. You're living off of your income, you're making money, you're living life, doing your craft, and you're surviving. And there is a large subset of people that do not fall into the professional photographer arena. I would be one of those individuals. I do not make my income from photography. A very small fraction of it, really. It's kind of like something I just do on the side. My primary job is a teacher. That's where I make my primary income. And a lot of folks who are diving into and wanting to become a photographer are getting their source of income from a part-time job, a full-time job, and they're called weekend warriors, right? They just do photography on the weekends or when they have free time. They shoot portraits, senior portraits, shoot events, and shoot weddings. So if that's you, then I would say you're not necessarily considered a professional photographer. I would say once you have more than 50% of your income, you probably land into that professional photography arena. And we could debate all day, like what we think, but I just need to sort of define that realm. And he says, I think in his video, that 99.999, if not more percent, of you are all going to fail at your pursuit of wanting to be a photographer. And that's really what we're talking about today, is like, can you really become a photographer in today's market, in today's society, and get through all of the noise, right? Everyone today is using their phones to shoot photos. Young people are doing this more and more, and they're creating some very interesting images, and they're getting lots of likes, tons of followers on Instagram. And so this generation of individuals, I mean, there's so many tiers of generations at this point. The film generation who didn't want to go to digital, the digital generation that came around right after film, and then now you have this new subset of individuals. I don't know what millennial Z, I don't know what the right term is anymore, but a lot of their creativity is coming from their phones, and these phones are getting better and better and better every year, and we're going to find soon enough that these will start replacing what most actual DSLRs or mirrorless cameras are doing today. And so that's why I thought this topic was interesting, and I really want to know your thoughts about it. Do you think today you can become an actual photographer full-time as a profession and actually make a good living doing it? So the whole idea of 99.9999% of you failing is basically saying that out of maybe 100,000 of you, one of you out of that number will become extremely successful. I would say maybe out of 10,000 out of one will be really successful as a photographer. And for the most part, everyone else is just going to be, unfortunately, not going to be there at 100%. And he also explains that a lot of these students who are probably coming out of an art school that are doing college, they're going to come out of college and they're in college and they're going to be doing a lot of free gigs. Basically, they're going to start shooting for free, doing weddings for free, events for free, because they're trying to build a portfolio, yeah? I think you might have gotten that before sometime where they say, hey, come on out and take pictures. You're just going to go out and build a portfolio, and they're not charging and so forth. And what he's showing here is that this group of individuals will start taking the low end of the market. So he also, Eric Kim talks about in the video, if you got a chance to listen to it, a low end to the market and a high end to the market. This market where you got this high clientele that you can charge $5,000 to $10,000, $20,000 for a wedding, and then you've got this low end market that you charge a few $100s. There's none of this in between anymore. And he says that this market in the middle will disappear. The $1,000, $2,000 market will disintegrate. Because if you think about it, and I'm just analyzing from his perspective, if hundreds of people, thousands of people are coming out wanting to be photographers, they're going to start at the low end. So that low end market is continually growing and is starting to eat away at the middle market, right? So you might have someone, maybe your friends are getting married or something, and you might say, hey, you know what? Johnny over there is actually a pretty decent photographer. He just got out of college, but he has some events and he just needs a portfolio to work on. And maybe he can just charge him, a few $100 to do the wedding. And these things start to happen where the bride and groom might have been wanting to pay $2,000 or $3,000. Now they have more options than they did before. Yet, but the truth is, the high clientele know the value and they're willing to pay the amount for a particular subset. So that's what I'm starting to see right now. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think are you seeing that in your area? Are you experiencing that? Especially if you are a professional photographer, what is it that you're noticing? I know on my end, when I post images, this idea of a professional, I don't think really completely exists anymore. And this was something is pointed out in the video, is that people don't care as much about photos. They just literally go on their Instagram and they just scroll through images over and over and over, and they just quickly like the image that they like and they move on to the next photo. And it's very rare that you stop and actually look at a photograph anymore. The ones, I mean, I'm a photographer and do video. I'll stop on an image that makes me think, some of the creative stuff. I'll actually think and look and see how they do that. But most individuals don't really look and maybe appreciate an image. They just look and say, oh, that's cool. Or maybe who's in the photograph that matters to them, right? It's all about that generation of selfies and being in the now, right? Living the experience. Where young people want to do now is they want the experiences. That's what's important to them, is sharing their experiences in life. So if the photos don't do that, then they might not care as much about it. So Eric Kim says that if you are planning to do photography, do something similar to what he might be doing. And I found this very interesting. So this is going into like this business sense. He's saying, he goes into education. So he took his craft, he took his knowledge, his skill set, his branding, his career, and he converted into a product, which is his workshops. So he does workshops. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. So let me jump to my other window. And for those of you listening in on the podcast, I jumped onto his website. And here you'll notice there is a section called Experience. And when you jump onto the section called Experience, you'll see some images. He doesn't even call it a workshop, because he's selling you an experience of being at this event, being at this thing he sets up. But here's where some of the controversy or the quote-unquote anger people have is that he's charging, let's jump to this one called Tokyo Street Photography in September. His fee, I think he says it all the way down here, he's charging $2,000 for the early bird price, which it already sold out. So all the 16 spots have already been earned. He does give a money back guarantee if you're not satisfied with it. So that's fair of what he's going to say. But, for a few days, right, for a few days of time, he'll net $32,000. Now, he'll have to spend some money to get out there and plan some things, but netting $32,000 for a workshop that he's hosting is a great thing. And when we jump back to the commentary people give, let's jump back over here, and they're saying $2,000 for a workshop, what are you? You start to sort of see this dichotomy of people who he's not approaching. He's attacking and he's approaching the high-end market, the people that value the time that they have with him, the experience. And the people who are really frustrated will never have considered paying the $2,000 or $1,000 to attend a workshop. They just want the free information. Now, maybe he should offer something in the middle or something in the low end for a few, one side of the year where people can come in and meet him. I can see that being a potential thing he should offer. But this is Eric Kim, the business person. The fact that he got 16 people to pay about $2,000 for a workshop means that he could potentially start doing this more in the future. And he points that out in his video, that he hopes in the future that he can start charging more money for these workshops. And to be honest, more power to him. I think the people who are offended by it, fine. You can be perfectly mad about the fact that he's charging that much. But the truth is, there's people that are willing to pay the price. And you know that reality, right? People will buy a nice fancy car. They'll buy a nice fancy house, even though they don't need it, right? There'll be somebody else that will offer a different price for a product. But the people who want to hang out with Eric Kim and work one-on-one with Eric Kim will pay the value of that. So if we go back and take a look at his website here, and we go back, he has several other workshops, and these other ones here aren't as expensive because they're shorter. He's charging about $800, I think, to attend these other workshops right here. $1,000 if you're towards the later end of it. So it's an experience. That's what he's selling to you, is the experience. But holy smokes, that is a great business model if it works out for him, and he might be able to start charging more if more and more people want to go to his workshops. Let me know what you think down in the description below or the comments below about a $2,000 workshop for 4 days, I think, right? It's like 4 days worth, and you get one-on-one time with him. Yeah, people might not see him as like the best photographer out there, but he's well known for his craft. You have to give it to that, right? He's well known for his craft. All right, let's jump back to my notes here so I can see what in the world am I talking about today. The other thing he's doing, which is really smart, is that he's designing his own products. If you're familiar with Jared Polin, Frono's Photo, he has his own branded shirts, the I Shoot Raw, Black Rapid straps, other merchandise that's marketed with his brand. And I think that's really great. And then you've got Eric Kim, and he's selling out products. Let's jump to Haptic, which is like his product line of things. He's got wrist straps. I think he's working on a bag, and some of these are being produced on a limited run. I think it's a smart move. Limited run, charge more for it, right? Limited run, designed by Eric Kim and his wife, I believe. You know, he can charge more for these items, and people are willing to buy it. There's a market for it, and I think he's going to be producing a bag from what it looks like. When we jump to his channel, it looks like he has some other items that are on the radar, which I think it's perfectly fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. You are the market. If you don't like it, you don't buy it. But there's someone that's going to buy it. All right? So that's the way I would see it. Let's talk about some more strategic things that he's doing with his YouTube channel briefly before we almost end this podcast today. Is that his YouTube channel is not really his main focus. So we're up here on Social Blade for those of you listening in. He has almost 600 video uploads. That's a lot of videos he's uploaded since 2010, but it looks like he started in 2011. 6.5 million views total, 52,000 subscribers. His channel has been picking up as of recent. So let's go ahead and take a look at this graph here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let's take a look at his channel growth. When he first came onto the scene, when he started producing videos, his channel was relevant, right? He was doing pretty good, 100,000 views. It dipped. I'm assuming he slowed down, didn't produce any videos, started doing better. He peaked again a little later on. And the very recent right now, his growth is growing. You see that? He's excelling in his views. Now, all of this isn't going to matter a whole lot because he pretty much disables ads on his videos, which is his choice. He says it's a good opportunity to build trust with his viewers. But let's take a look here. He's starting to produce several videos every week. So I'm looking at it. It looks as if he's doing multiple views a lot, right? And he's going for this very direct to the camera, I think going back to his old style of videos. And he's talking about all these different topics. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I'm using a software tool called vidIQ, and you can see this red bar. This red bar illustrates to you how many dislikes a video is getting. So if the red bar is more further left, that means more than half of the people are disliking the work that he's doing in his videos. So I really don't know what his market angle is, what he's trying to accomplish, and but in reality, his YouTube channel is just a platform to speak. What's really important to him is the customers that will want to buy his workshop. So all he really needs to do is produce content, whether you like it or not, which most people seem to not like. Yet there are still people who do like his content. I don't know if you noticed that in the blue. You see that? If there's blue, it means people are liking the content. So people do still like what he's doing. But there's still a lot of negativity. Makes him controversial. Makes him controversial in that sense. So things are changing for him, the route he's going, the way he's designing his projects in his videos. But he's being more active now on his YouTube scene than he's been before. And by the way, he gives a lot of his information for free already. It's not as if the workshop is something you need to go to. He has plenty of videos, his books, his PDFs, they're all free. I believe most of them are all free. You can actually download them and get access to all this knowledge he's accumulated, which is available for you. It's no charge. All right, so I wanted to add one more thing into this video podcast that I forgot to mention and really answer is that Eric Kim's video was actually sort of like kicking your butt. It wasn't, I really don't think his entire message was to tell you you can't be a photographer. His idea was to give you the realities, tell you what it is, and if you still wanted to be successful, you could do it. Let me jump over really quick to the video, and let me play the last 30 seconds
Not everyone has that luxury. And so this video is partly to give you the harsh reality that you're probably going to fail as a photographer, and at the same time, I want to encourage you is that if you really do feel like you have the passion, you're willing to live below your means, I think you could do it. So if you want to learn more.
There you go. He actually says if it wants to encourage you, then go for it. If you have the passion, the desire, the ability to make sacrifices to be successful, you could still do it. And I think that was really his core message, but I think it kind of fell apart a little bit because he said, go to my link down below, check out my website, and obviously go in and check out his workshop. But he really is trying to get you to kick your butt. And the fact that people felt emotionally involved just to dislike the video and make a comment meant it actually affected people. His comments and his words affected people. And the people that felt the most affected by it really should feel the need to prove him wrong, right? Be a photographer, be successful. So it was kind of like this reverse psychology kind of thing where if you keep hearing positive things all the time, I really believe that it's not a good thing for you. If you just constantly hear the good side of things and not hear the negative sides and the reality of it. But I really think his goal was to kick you in the butt and make sure that you wake up a little bit and realize, hey, you know what? If you really want this, you got to fight for it. You got to be smart about it. You got to work hard, be dedicated, more about that. So I wanted to throw that into the podcast because I thought it was really important. I totally forgot to when I was listening into it on it. Let's jump back into the other part. But that's it. That's Eric Kim's strategy. I think it's very, very interesting to move into the workshop marketplace. I've thought about doing that, but I'm not in the mindset of doing that at this time. But I'd like to build the knowledge and the skill set to be able to offer a workshop for a given value price for my own time and to make it worthwhile. But you got to be an expert at something. So for those of you who are trying to become entrepreneurs and by the way, I think if you're a professional photographer, you really should consider the things that Eric Kim is doing. Is if you're very good, like you know something very well, like you feel like you are on the top of the game. Maybe you're the best senior portrait photographer out there and you shoot Canon or something or Nikon or Olympus. Own up to it, own that, and be the resource for it and run workshops for it and make some additional income for yourself if you think it's going to be worth your time. Obviously, you have to be good at teaching and interacting with people, but you know what? That is the game, right? Your goal is to become an entrepreneur, a business person, and make some wealth with your knowledge. So, folks, that's all I've got for you in this video. If you want to support the work that I do, consider using the links in the description below to search out the equipment and gear that I'm using to film my podcast today. You can check out any of my old podcasts, any other videos. You can subscribe to the channel. And with that said, I'm your host, That One Camera Guy, and I will catch you on the next podcast, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.